Thanks for joining me today. You've negotiated in many different markets. This time I'd like to focus on India. What has your experience been like negotiating with Indian counterparts?
Well, India is a really interesting place to negotiate. One thing that stands out immediately is how important relationships are. I recall one negotiation in Mumbai where we spent most of the first meeting talking about family, background, even cricket. At first, I thought we were avoiding the real issues, but later I realized that was the real work. They wanted to build trust before talking business.
So would you describe India as a high context culture?
Definitely. Communication in India is generally high context and quite indirect. People often avoid saying no directly. I remember proposing a timeline once and hearing responses like, "We'll think about it," or "Let's see how things evolve." Nothing sounded negative, but the message was clear if you knew how to listen. I mean, you really have to read between the lines.
And how does that affect the way negotiations are structured?
Well, negotiations tend to be polychronic. Agendas exist, but they're flexible. They may discuss several topics at the same time and interruptions are common. I recall one meeting in Delhi where we jumped from pricing to logistics, then onto personal matters and back again. It felt a bit messy at first, but there was a rhythm to it. You have to be flexible. That's the key.
What about hierarchy and decision making?
India has a relatively high power distance. Titles and seniority matter. You may negotiate with a team, but the final decision often rests with the most senior person, sometimes not even present. I once spent weeks finalizing details with managers, only to learn that the owner still had to approve everything. From then on, I always clarified early who the real decision maker was.
Would you say Indian negotiators rely more on logic or emotion?
It's a mix, but pathos and ethos often come before logos. Trust and personal credibility carry a lot of weight. Having said that, negotiations can be very tough, especially on price. I recall one deal where the bargaining was intense. Every cost was challenged, every number pushed down. Getting a good deal or SASTA really mattered. It wasn't hostile, but it was relentless.
And so how do you handle that as an outsider?
You need stamina and flexibility. Indian negotiators often think in terms of jugaad, finding creative workarounds. I remember a proposal that looked chaotic to me at first, but it solved the problem faster and cheaper than our original plan. As soon as I stopped insisting on perfect processes and focused on outcomes, the negotiation moved forward.
Finally, what advice would you give to someone negotiating in India for the first time?
I would have to say, be patient, invest in relationships, respect hierarchy, and stay flexible with time. Furthermore, expect tough bargaining, don't rush clarity, and always think long term. If you do that, negotiating in India can be extremely rewarding.
Great advice. Thanks so much for your time.